I'm Kristen.
And I'm Maddie.
We're sisters and heavy readers.
Join us every single week to talk stories, interview authors, and collab with fellow book nerds.
Welcome to the Chris and Mad Show.
Welcome back to the show, you guys, and happy December. It is our last month of 2025. Hope you are all getting some great reading in. And if you're celebrating the holidays, hope that you're getting lots of extra reading time over the holidays. Today, we want to go over everything we read in November. Seems like maybe some high highs and some low lows.
Yeah, as we go over it, it's interesting to see it after the fact. When you're in it, you're just in it. But during the reflection, I'm like, oh, we had some low. I had my lowest rating of the year, but I also had some of, I would say, the best reading of my year this month.
I had a perfect 5-star this month.
Woo!
As in every single section of my rating rubric had a 5-star in it.
Oh, this makes me so excited. You guys can add some books to your 2026 TBR from these books.
Well, I think it's going to be T because I think it's a book that you rated quite low.
I just didn't rate it as high as you. Yes. But it is really funny when Maddie finds a perfect book, like literally puts her stamp of perfection on it. And I go, ooh, do not agree. I always feel bad.
We'll get into all of that. But before we start the episode, we just want to give you guys a friendly reminder that you can subscribe to this channel. It's free. It's fun. We love it when you do it. It's so exciting. And if you are watching this in a place where that's not YouTube, basically, just follow the show. Following the show is amazing. It helps us rate and rank highly on the list pages when people are looking for shows to watch. So if they're looking for a show like this, we will show up on the charts if enough people are following and rating the show. So if you want to help us that way, that's amazing too. But without further ado, let's get into what we read in November.
So how many books did you read?
I read 8.
Okay.
How many did you?
Like that's our average, I think.
Well, I had 2 chonkers this month, but I don't really know. Maybe I was reading a little less. It didn't feel like it, but I read like 2,000-page books.
Yeah, you read huge books, but I thought it was funny when you texted me and you were like, I only read 8 this last month. I said, I'm pretty sure that's like our average. I read some very short books this month and I got up to 12, but I think if you looked at page to page, Maddie would have read more for sure.
Well, yeah, I was telling Kristen, I think I am in this weird mood where I am doing a lot on audio, but I don't want to multitask while I'm listening. So I am immersion reading everything. Like when I sit down to read, the book is in my hand, the headphones are on, like I'm still doing the audiobook, but I am like reading with my eyeballs as well. And it's really helping me with retention. It's helping me to just not have my mind wander as much. And so I do think it is a little slower because I'm not just like doing 6 hours on audio through the day while I'm doing the rest of my life. I don't know. Maybe it's just like the winter or slowing down. I don't know. I just am like not feeling the multitask energy right now.
No, that's great. And I do think that that's the way most of us readers prefer it. So if you're able to do that and carve out that space, we just love that for you. So do you want to start low and go high? I kind of love when we do we kind of do like the low hanging fruit first, the ones that aren't necessarily trying to be recommended to you. And then we kind of build steam. So if you stick to the end, you can have the good meat bits.
I'm fine to do that. I didn't have any super duper low ratings. I didn't hate anything this month. Did you?
So yours might start out more mid anyways, like mid rating.
Let's start with a low for you.
Okay, I'm going to give you my lowest rating of the entire year. Are you ready for this, guys?
Of the year?
Of the year. Well, I did DNF some books, so I guess it didn't get DNF'd. But I should have.
Oh, Kristen.
Okay, guys. So this is actually a book 2 in a series. Book 2 is called Fallen Stars. This is by Imani Erriu. And I had read book 1, Heavenly Bodies, and basically rated it in the middle. It's romantic-y, some really fun like astrological magic systems, some fun god stuff. So it was just like a fine time. It's like good time. Book 2 is a completely different setting. So you're actually on like the seas, the whole book. Mermaids are introduced, and there's this like trope party happening from page 1 through the end, where I almost felt like it was like tick the box if you hear this trope. And it was like click, click, click the whole book. So it just did not give original to me. I did not get excited about the side characters, which I was like, after book 1, I was like, okay, there's going to be more books. We're going to get more of the other characters. I didn't feel like I got enough of other characters. I felt wildly uncomfortable multiple times.
Oh my God.
And when I say uncomfortable, like the cringe was just like, I couldn't listen to the book fast enough. So this is not getting Kristen's stamp of approval. However, if you love romantasy and you want to get down with some mermaid erotica, this might be for you, guys.
Whoa.
Might be for you.
It's so interesting because I also read Heavenly Bodies book 1 last year. And I remember noting, like, it's so nice to read a romantasy that's not cringe.
I don't know if it was written too fast. I don't know if indeed publishers are just like, let's just get those tropes that the people are feral for. And I don't know. But I was just like, this cannot exist in my library.
Should have been a drinking game. Take a shot every time you feel cringe. But it could be good for you. So if you if you really just love tropey romantasy, a fun brain off book, like just escapism, time in a new world, maybe
Can't touch him.
Oh yeah, that
Touch him and die.
Touch him and die trope, a little mermaid erotica. This could totally be your bag, and we'd love that for you. We would love that for the publisher. We would love that for Imani Erriu.
Yeah. Yes. Slay. Okay, Maddie, please change the topic and help us pivot from this. This is a great start.
I'm looking, but really I didn't dislike anything I read this month. So my lowest rating was a 3.5. It was for Death at the Sign of the Rook. And this was kind of like a la Agatha Christie type book.
Yeah.
And to me, it didn't work for pacing reasons.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, this is by Kate Atkinson.
Right.
And I would like to read other books that she's written. My understanding is that these books, Death at the Sign of the Rook, I think might be like a book 5 or a book 3 and like interconnected standalones that all feature this one character who is kind of like a retired detective. But he's like obviously still solving cases, or he just keeps getting wrapped up in cases, I guess.
So he's like the Poirot of this series.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
So I've never read any of the other books. I didn't realize they were interconnected standalone, so I just randomly picked one up, which you can do. People do that with Agatha Christie all the time.
Well, and you just picked it up literally because you liked the cover, correct? Like you were like, it's so me-coded. I just really appreciate this like artwork.
I loved the cover.
That's so clowning.
And to be fair, I've kept the book on my shelf because I could see myself doing a reread or picking up some of the others in the series and then appreciating this one more. To me, like I said, it was a pacing issue. So I went in with expectations, having read some Agatha Christie novels, where the beginning is kind of this chaotic setup where you're learning all the characters and kind of getting like your, what would you call it? Not their backstory, but you're kind of getting their like flavor. This character is like this character is like this character is like this. And you're getting the ensemble because then, of course, something's going to happen. Someone's going to get murdered or something's going to get stolen. Something's going to happen. And now every single person you've just been introduced to is potentially a suspect and potentially a victim. So that's kind of like the formula, right? So I went in expecting that. And basically that was 80% of the book.
Wait, what?
Yeah, 80% of the book, you're just like meeting characters because you're following this retired detective and he's been brought in to consult on some stolen art. And that's kind of like leading him on this tour where he's meeting characters who've had art stolen and stuff. And so I keep feeling like we're in the introduction, but by then we're like to the 80% mark. And then it's just like the ending, the climax, boom, 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 boom. And I was just like, wait, what? So I actually really liked the ending, but the whole build, I guess I felt like we never got into, if it was a chess game, I felt like we were in the opening all the way to the end because I just didn't understand that maybe there wasn't an opening or maybe the whole book was kind of the mid game, but I didn't realize it. So it was kind of like it was a mismatch for me, but I feel like it's a fair criticism for me to make because I have this expectation for a reason based on the genre.
Yeah, so maybe she's trying to bend the genre into like a new way.
Yeah.
But
something.
it's got to be enjoyable if you're going to try something new. You know what? People can try something new. Maybe her other books don't do that.
You know, I felt like The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman kind of was a different take on the genre in terms of the structure and the pacing.
Yeah.
But in his book, like, you meet the 4 characters right up front and then the action starts. Whereas in this, it was like you were meeting the characters because the action had already started, I guess, but I didn't realize the action had started. So anyway, it was interesting. But I still really like the end. I think I still really like books like this. So I don't know. I gave it a 3.5. It was not a bad book. I just, for some reason, yeah.
I think that this is the first year ever that I've read more than 5 authors that are doing whodunits or like these kind of mystery things. And unfortunately, it's like a great thing because I found some new really fun authors to do it. But I have realized that like I used to think that all of those books worked for me. And this year I'm like, no, not even like an author who's a hit sometimes. Like other books of theirs are a miss in this. And I love a good like mystery thriller whodunit. But it needs to be like for me. And yeah, they just aren't all the same.
I think for me, it was like you have to be a master at foreshadowing that feels super exciting at the end because you realize how much intention was there, that you could have solved it, but it's well done enough that you don't solve it. And I think that especially in this book, it just didn't feel like a big twist or shock. It
didn't
was like,
land.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, well, actually, I feel validated because like if you just like rated every book 5 stars, I'd be like a little jelly.
Today, we're going to talk to you about our sponsor, BetterHelp, like the 5-star story that they are. And we're going to break it down for you like we do everything into characters, setting, plot, themes, emotional impact, and personal enjoyment.
You are obviously the main character, but in every good story, there's like the side characters who come along the journey with you. And BetterHelp will actually match you with a therapist, and you can decide if they're the right one or you can switch at any time. My therapist has been a 10 out of a 10 character in my journey for the last 2 years.
Setting is also perfect because you can literally do this in the comfort of your own home. So grab your tea, get a pair of socks, get comfortable so that you can do this vulnerable work.
And then this is where the plot thickens. If you're in a season where you're eager to grow, or maybe you're feeling stuck and you have no option but to grow, don't hesitate. Even when the road has gotten really hard for me in my therapy journey, it has always been worth it.
Because the theme is growth. The theme is expansion. The theme is life is too short to stay stuck unhappy in old cycles and patterns that no longer serve you.
I'm going to be honest with you. Emotionally, you might laugh, but you will most definitely cry. And that's okay. We have a large range of emotions. And in this place, it is safe to express them.
I have seen firsthand how lit up Chris is after therapy. Like personal enjoyment is so high. And when she's lit up, I'm lit up. Personal growth really impacts the people closest to you.
So let's just be brave together. If you're ready to embark on your journey, you can use the link in our bio. It's betterhelp.com/Chris and Mads to get 10% off of your first month of therapy. The questionnaire will match you with a therapist in as little as a couple of days.
BetterHelp accepts both HSA and FSA cards, making it even easier to prioritize your mental health. In 2024 alone, over 137,000 people used their HSA and FSA benefits for therapy through BetterHelp. So be sure to use yours before they expire.
We are all the authors of our own stories. May you find inspiration as you write your next chapter and the support and help that you need to face the challenges along the way. I'm going to hit you guys with a mid now.
A mid.
If that's cool.
Do you have any other lows, though, that we just need to get out of the way?
You know what? Nothing else is crazy low. My next lowest one is a 2.75. So rated up to 3 on Goodreads.
Ooh.
And this one was a really, really huge disappointment. And it really surprised me. So the Belladonna trilogy by Adalyn Grace is like a fave of mine. I read these with my daughter. They're very moody and atmospheric. And this year, the book Holly came out, so it's like technically like 3.5 in the series, but it's like a novella. And I was so excited because it's Holly and it's Christmas themed and I love the holiday season. And I picked it up, ready to binge, have a great time like I did with every other novel by her. And this one was just so boring. It felt like, and maybe that's what novellas are. It's like, let me give you the characters that you love from other books, but all the work that made you love those characters or the stories that made it exciting, the plot wasn't exciting. It just kind of felt like trying to milk something that didn't need to be, I guess. I was just so incredibly bored. And then I just kept getting more and more bummed out because I was just like, I really hope these don't like taint the series for me. I'm not usually like a huge novella reader, so maybe I should just know this about myself. Actually, that's not true because in The Bound and the Broken by Ryan Cahill, his novellas like almost hit as hard as the novels. So I guess
love his novellas.
Sometimes novellas are just amazing. But yeah, so Holly by Adalyn Grace is not my favorite. But hear me when I say I love her trilogy. It is like one of my favorite romantic gothic YAs ever. And it's like a rereadable series to me. That's how good it is. But Holly was not for me. Also, I told my daughter, who has been living for this book, that she is not in fact allowed to read it because it was a little bit more explicit than I was comfortable with, and I didn't want to like cut out the pages. Guys, this book is so beautiful. I'm so freaking disappointed. It is one of the most beautiful books I own. But also I was just like, it's not good, Robin. Like, you're not gonna like it.
Oh no.
And she was like, are you kidding me? And I was like, I know. Just go back and reread Belladonna. It's on Maddie's TBR.
I'm going to make up my own mind about this book. I feel like when you told me that it was kind of like the Beauty and the Beast holiday special.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
I was like, oh, I can get down with that.
But see, I don't even know if that's like appropriate because I actually kind of did low-key love that. But it is sort of plotless. It's like just hang out in this house that we love with characters that we love.
Yeah, that could be a cozy time.
That was not enough for me.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe I will listen to it while I'm like baking Christmas cookies or wrapping presents or something. And it'll just be like ambiance-y. Like I won't be like, I need to be hooked by the plot.
I hope you rate it 5 stars so bad. I don't know where that reality could exist, but I really hope that is the case.
Oh, no.
So 2.75. Honestly, God, Adalyn, I hope you do not have time to listen to our podcast. We have interviewed Adalyn on this podcast. That's how horrible this is for me. I'm like obsessed with her and I want her to write all the things. But just know that like I love you. You are so talented and your readership deserves to have this book just because of how stunning it is.
Oh my.
Love you long time.
Love you long time.
Okay, Maddie, quick. I am so ready to be out of this.
Let's talk about Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. This is the book that has been on my physical TBR the longest. I bought it myself. I have the UK edition, which I didn't know. Turns out one of the characters' names is different in the UK edition than in the US audiobook. So that was interesting.
Okay.
I only know that because I was immersion reading and I was like, hang on, why is this person's name different?
You said, hold on.
Kristen knows nothing about my thoughts on this book
No,
so
I'm
far.
like literally chomping at the bit to hear.
Okay, so Nevernight is kind of a dark take on the like school setting, okay? Like kind of dark academia.
Okay, well, that's not original. So what?
But it's not like school, like wizard school. It's like they go to assassin school. And there are, I think, 4 main disciplines. There's like poisons.
Okay.
And then, you know, like fighting. And then there's like thievery. And then there's seduction. So there's like the 4 disciplines of the assassin school.
Are there houses?
There's no houses.
Oh.
There's very few students.
Like how few? Like less than a dozen?
Maybe like less than 30.
Okay.
And they're all like on the verge of adulthood. And they're from all over the world.
Okay.
And they go to the Red Church. That's the school for the assassins.
Oh, that is very creepy. Why are they calling it a church if it's an assassin?
So it's kind of like a cult, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's the premise. And I was always intrigued by this premise. I'm also very just intrigued by Jay Kristoff as an author because he's just a controversial author. People like love him or they hate him. And so this story has a female protagonist written by a man that's interesting to me. And she's 16. So it's interesting to have like a grown man writing the voice of a 16-year-old assassin girl.
Yeah.
The last real assassin book I read like that was probably Throne of Glass. So Selena Sardathian is what I'm thinking of as like a little 16-year-old assassin. So it had some tropey things happening, but it was an interesting premise. So that's what hooked me. Here's what I'll say about the writing style, which is what really intrigued me about it. She is so mouthy, but it's interesting because she's written by a man. So she's mouthy, but she's not.
When you say mouthy, you mean just like sassy?
Yeah.
Like sarcastic?
A little.
Biting?
Yeah, and she curses a lot, and she's
I love that.
antagonistic. But the magic system of this book is that not everyone has it. It's very limited. She has it. She is called a Darkin, which means she has like a shadow animal companion, and she can wield shadows. And not everybody can do this, obviously. So she has this sidekick. Mr. Kindly is her sidekick, and he's a cat.
Kindly?
So there was this interesting humor to it, I think because it was written by Jay Kristoff. Like, it was just this interesting, like, comedy to the side, because as she's doing things, there's this, like, sarcastic sidekick cat who's super sassy, who's, like, commenting on everything that she does.
Jay Kristoff's the one with the really like unique facial hair.
Oh, are you Googling him right now?
Yes. I think the brothers Gwen just met him. Sometimes it just helps me to put a face to a name.
Yeah, no, totally. I think that he, at this point, is more famous for his Empire of the Vampire.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing here. But this one, where did you get this rec from? Do you remember?
No, I just saw it in a Half Price Books, and it was Jay Kristoff, so I got it. It is first in a trilogy. I rated it a 3.75. I felt like his pacing was excellent, like really, really excellent. I was surprisingly gripped for such a somewhat predictable or tropey type story.
Okay.
But I felt like the characters were very YA.
Ooh.
And yet there was spice. So I was like, this is clearly adult, but why are we reading about 16-year-olds? Like, why didn't we age them up? Why aren't they like at least 23, 24? And maybe it's just because of when this was written.
When was it written?
I think like 2014, maybe. It just seemed
2016.
It seemed like a really, really interesting choice for an adult novel to make your main character a 16-year-old girl who's like losing her virginity in the first chapter in a really weird way. And then writing style-wise, it was frustrating to me. And this is just a stylistic choice. He had footnotes probably in the first 50% of the book on almost every page. So you're reading along, and then there's a break in the narration so you can go down to the footnotes and get basically like an info dump. And that was just
not enjoyable
for me.
Oh, that's okay.
So I rated it a 3.75. Will I continue with the trilogy? I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. It's like, I think possibly it gets much better, but I'm also just wondering if now that I've had like a taste of Jay Kristoff, if I should jump over to Empire of the Vampire and see what I think.
I don't know if you weren't like sold on this one. That's interesting that you're ready to hop into.
The brothers Gwyn love Empire of the Vampire. I think it's basically one of Papa Gwyn's favorite books.
Stop.
Yes. So I'm like,
is it an Adalyn Grace situation where some are just so good?
Well, I'm just wondering if some of my like things that made this rating a little lower, like made it feel a little bit more juvenile, was because the characters were younger. And I'm like, if he's writing a male perspective in a new series with grown-ups, maybe it's a different thing.
Maybe that'll just feel different to you. Maybe it'll just like make you happy.
Yeah, it is really
I'm proud of you for just picking up a book at the store. I'm trying to remember the last time we did that. Actually, you did that with The Sign of the Rook too, you crazy cuckoo.
Yeah, but this book, Nevernight, was on my TBR, I think, for 2 whole years. I think it sat on my shelf unread. So.
Wow, so you've really been healed from just buying books for the whim.
Oh, yeah. But I'm so glad I read it now, and we'll just see. It's like, I thought it was fun, but it's weird. Like, I think I would recommend it more to teenagers. Like, I think that Robin would love it, except why is it spicy? I'm just like, why did we have spice in here?
What does that mean? Why is it
also,
spicy?
I don't know. I'm just in a weird mood where it's not hitting. The spice just all feels cringe to me. Like none of it is, all of it, I'm just like, why is it in here? I don't know.
Maybe it's
weird.
just not a very spicy season, because I swear anything with spice, I'm immediately like, why is this
And
happening right now?
this is coming from you and me, who like we were very big fans at one time. What happened?
I don't know. Unfortunately, unlike most of the world, we did not get addicted to spice porn like everybody else. And I feel like I missed out or like I'm broken because I'm like,
I like enjoyed it for a minute there. And I was like, this is so nice that this is in books. Like it should be in books. It's part of life.
Yeah. But yeah, it actually like makes me take down a star rating.
It depends how it's written.
If it's not done right, I'm more like Fade to Black is like so hot.
I don't know that we need to close the door. This could be a whole nother episode on its own.
Let's just do a whole episode on spice and
get our thoughts.
Nice.
Get our thoughts together for that.
Yeah. Please don't unfollow us just because we're not into spice. But you're probably not going to be eating spice Rex from here in the foreseeable future. Actually, I read one book. The next book I'm going to talk to you about had decent spice. And I recommend this book. So there you go. This is book 5 in the Bridgerton series. This one is called To Sir Phillip with Love. This is the love story for one of my favorite characters in the TV adaptation, Miss
Eloise.
I always want to say Eliza, Miss Eloise. And it is very different than the first 4 books. So I think I actually love how original this one feels compared to other Bridgertons. I would say that this is in one of my Bridgertons I really enjoyed grouping because there's actually been some that I haven't.
Wait. I cannot wait for your ranking.
Yeah, I'm going to read all of them. I'm trying to finish by the end of this year so I can do a ranking of all 8 Bridgerton books and tell you like my favorite and my least to my favorite.
So To Sir Phillip with Love is pulling high for you right now.
Yes, mostly on originality. So in this story, she is 28 years old, which is like spinster age back in that time. But because her family comes from money, she really doesn't have to marry to like have a livelihood or like security. Which you guys should know if you know anything about Bridgerton is it's a large family with lots of children, and she's kind of like in the middle. Older siblings have money and they're getting married, and she's kind of like, this is her love story. So in this story, she actually starts like a penmanship relationship, which I just love. You've got mail. I love a good like letter situation. So
a pen pal.
Yes. So this book started because she is writing the husband of her cousin condolences because her cousin, his wife, had passed. And so she sent that letter, and then they just started talking. So he's a widow with 2 twin children, and she rebels and just kind of sneaks away from her house to go to his home to get to know him. And it's not love at first sight, even though like they really had a bond through letters. So it's kind of like, does he just want someone to raise his twins? He's dealing with like grief. He's got some issues from his childhood. And it's not like she fixes him. I wouldn't say that's the trope, but it just felt like 2 older adults. God, I love reading about like people in their 30s and 40s so much. So they're like older, and the kids are involved, and there's a lot of humor because she's actually a very kind of funny character. She's not super serious. So it felt original to me. There were a couple of spicy scenes. I think Julia Quinn writes those pretty well. She does spice pretty well. And so I just liked it. I liked it a lot. You know, she had never been with someone before, and he had been in a kind of loveless marriage. So it just felt really nice and passionate.
Oh.
Yeah. So I rated, let's see, what did I rate you? 3.5.
My wheels are turning now if we ever do this spice episode, because I really think that one of the things that makes it nice is when it feels earned.
Oh, and it does feel earned. It didn't come early in the book. But sometimes books are crazy. I've read a book where like there's a spice scene in the first chapter, and it like catapults you into like, what is happening here? And it actually was good because they find each other later, and they didn't know who they were when they hooked up.
Oh, weird.
It was just a hookup. And then later they find out who they are, and they don't like each other. But then they.
Oh, yeah. I just think maybe it's mood based. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
We got to get our thoughts together.
That's the only spice I read this month that I like kind of enjoyed. Okay, so Maddie, wait. If we both read a book together by Adriene Young,
Fallen City.
Yeah, which was like a total like shift from what I think of when I think of Adriene Young. She wrote Spells for Forgetting, The Unmaking of June Farrow. Maddie just read
A Sea of Unspoken Things.
Yes. And so they're very like, they're standalones first off. There's usually a little bit of like a mystery element. There's some romance. The Unmaking of June Farrow is my favorite thus far. But this one is like an adult fantasy.
Right.
It will be a duology.
And it's like Greco-Roman inspired. So it's giving like ancient historic fiction fantasy.
Yes.
Whereas her magical realism standalones are usually like near present day.
Yes. This is like really fun if you like war-torn cities, which I do. I love a war-torn city. I love when they're on opposite sides of the war.
Yeah.
You like want to keep the other person safe, but nobody can know because it would make you like a traitor if you were trying to like help out somebody obviously on the other side of the wall. Also, it was told in like there's two POVs, but also it's like going forward and backwards in time, like before the war, then after the war.
The dual timeline was a really cool narrative choice that she made because I think it's something special for a romance-centered fantasy because you're not relying on the trope of like, oh, touch him and you'll die, or
will they end up or will they fall in love?
Of course they will. Like,
you
or
know
enemies to lovers. Like in this, it's like because of the dual timeline, from the beginning, you recognize they have already previously been in love.
Yeah.
And so when you're going back to when they're falling in love, because you've already been in the present timeline, you're like, well, yeah, I want to see this unfold, but we know that they do fall in love and now they can't be together.
It's literally forbidden.
Well, yeah, it's just like feasibly impossible because they're on literally separate camps.
What did you rate that book?
4 stars.
Yeah.
I felt like it. This is, I think maybe typical with series, but to me, the book didn't stand on its own very well. It really, really, really is hinging on this second book. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing in the sense that I think the second book is absolutely earned. It was clearly planned and plotted as a 2-book story. And so I feel like I've only read half the book. I think that's the main reason I gave it 4 stars is it's like, well, I haven't had my ultimate emotional satisfaction yet. I don't feel like these characters' arcs have fully closed yet. I don't feel like the plot is fully satisfying yet. So like those are the things I'm rating it on, right? So I think it was a great setup and I think it has amazing potential if she closes all the loops in book 2. That the duology as a whole could easily be a 5-star for me. But it was, it just felt, you know what it felt like? Similar, not at all in like plot or anything, but similar to the Shepherd King duology. I originally gave One Dark Window 4 stars. And now I rate the Shepherd King duology as a whole 5 stars because Two Twisted Crowns so well closed the loops and continued the story.
That is a great analogy, Maddie.
Yeah.
Because I felt the same way. I thought I rated it higher than you, but I did 3.75. I was like, this is good. I am sat for book 2.
Yeah.
And also book 1 on its own, like didn't give me enough of like a, you know, when you're learning a magic world and it's high fantasy. Well, it's not high fantasy, but it's a fantasy adult. Like, it takes time to kind of lay out the work.
Yeah.
And then I just want to play in that world. But
Yeah.
because it's a book 1, that time takes away from other things that you're going to get that I love, which is like the emotional impact or like just more character work. I just love anything that feels like original and like the bravery of the author playing in something new. So as an Adriene Young like lover, I just think it's cool. I think it's cool. I am sat for this fantasy series. I'm actually really now excited to read some of her YA work, like Namesake and stuff. Like I really want to like jump into that because I just think Adriene Young is a very talented author.
She does a good job of genre weaving, I think.
Yes.
And I think because she has woven thriller aspects into some of her other books, it makes her really good at pacing. For something Fallen City, where you're like, she'll play with structure. She'll do things to keep her reader engaged and to keep you kind of guessing and on your toes and wanting to find out what happens next. She's good at that. And I think she must have probably sharpened and honed those skills through her thriller writing and her young adult writing.
I wonder when we're going to get book 2 because if you pick this up, I think you're going to have a great time, especially if you love her work and you just want to try something new. However, you could just wait till the second book's out and then just binge them together because I feel like that would be super fun.
I think it is a 2026 release date.
Okay, that's what I'm looking at.
Kristen will check on that. Let's see.
November 4th, 2025 is when this one came out.
Right. So it might be early 2027, but usually they try to get them out pretty quick.
I know. I hope so because I am like really excited for that one. Okay, why don't you hit us with another one of your non-5 stars?
Non-5 stars. Okay.
Well, you said you only had one perfect 5-star, correct?
Yes, but I had 2 very, very high.
Ooh, yeah. So save those for the end.
Okay, let's talk about Station 11 then.
I just got this from the library. Do I read it?
I mean, I think you should read it.
Okay.
Yes. It's an award-winning book for a reason. Station 11 is I would call it an end of the world book.
It's very dystopian, correct?
I mean,
It's kind of like the end of days,
yes.
would you say?
Yes. But it is probably going to give all of us flashbacks to the COVID-19 epidemic.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an epidemic book. Basically, there's dual timeline. And so one timeline is showing you the last week before the collapse. And the other timeline is 20 years into the future after the collapse. And so there's kind of one character who is now 27, but she was like 7 years old the week of the collapse.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
So she's an interesting character, but it's kind of like there's this thread that weaves several point of view characters, maybe like 4 or 5 together. And so you're kind of seeing how they interacted that last week of the collapse versus where they have all ended up post collapse. And I enjoyed it because all of them are kind of related to the entertainment industry or like performing arts. And so in the post-collapse world, they're like a Shakespeare troupe. And it was really interesting to read that while I was also reading the book Hamnet this month. Right. So that was cool. But also like pre-collapse, there's a lot about like just being famous and being a performer and being in love with performers and entertainers and what that's like. And so it was just like kind of very literary fiction like in that way.
Ooh.
And there's I would say some disturbing parts of it, but overall I don't think it was as dark or bleak as I thought it was going to be going in, but I was picturing like some Walking Dead shit.
So I'm not really getting, and I don't think they are either, Maddie. We're not really getting what wowed you and what was like not your favorite. Like we just need to know. Don't be all like in middle ground about this.
I think I anticipated the plot to be more addicting. Like where you would read to find out what happened. And
it weren't.
It really isn't like that. No. It's more like a
scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not really a plot-driven book. Things happen and there is like a climax at the end and there is this like you are moving towards something for sure. And there's like some satisfying moments where you realize where like, you know, where the timeline kind of intersects, where you're like, these people you've been reading about in the past, you realize who they are in the present, which is kind of fun.
Okay.
Like there's aspects that are satisfying, but I think I went into it thinking it was going to be more plot driven, and it's not very plot driven. The thing that I really liked about it was just that it was very like focused on the arts, like focused on. I liked that thematically it was focused on when everything collapses. How do people find meaning and what do people want? You know, 20 years out, they figured out how to survive. It's not really a like, how do you survive book? Like they've already figured that out. Okay. They've already figured it out. They're all surviving. But why would you want to survive is kind of explored in like a not explicit way. It's like, well, you survive because of beauty and art and truth and your people and the idea that you can bring light to people and that there's things about humanity that are worth preserving just because they're human. And it's like the things that people are nostalgic for isn't really like running water and electricity, although those things were nice. They're like nostalgic for, you know, like the gadgets we used to have. They're like nostalgic for the internet because you used to be able to just like find out anything you wanted to know at any time. And you used to have so much information available to you, or you used to be able to just pick up a phone and call someone. And like those ideas of being connected that's what they're really nostalgic for.
So is it one of those stories that like just pushes really appreciation, that we'll leave feeling appreciation for your current life?
That's how I felt.
Okay.
Was that, you know, there's people I think who can seek meaning so much that they end up, you know, finding themselves in cults or creating cults or whatever, where it's like you want meaning so bad that you make it in this really artificial way that's actually usually very isolationist and like who's in and who's out. And that's what creates meaning. Like I'm better than other people. And then I think there's people who create meaning from bringing people together. And I think the book kind of explores those two things. It's very not explicit book. So you'll get out of it what you bring to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
This show, because it does have a show that came out in 2021.
People enjoy the show more. I have not seen it. But I think they enjoy the show more because I'm assuming that the show has more of a plot trajectory with like rising action and
that's what I'm wondering. It gets
stuff.
like 98% from Rotten Tomatoes, which not that we always listen to those tomatoes, but they do have things to say according to this one.
And the book is an award-winning book. Like I absolutely both are probably worth your time, but I'm just saying it's just interesting. Like I rated the book 4.5 stars. I think it's really good.
Okay. But my question, and you guys might not have this question, but my question is this book or Silo?
Oh, Silo is much more plot forward.
That's all I needed to know.
So if Kristen's a plot reader, so.
Yeah, I am a plot reader, but I also am feral for an adaptation.
But so
I'm like,
Silo, the hook is what the fuck happened. And you are reading to find out what happened. Also, they're on the brink of survival. Like their silo is failing. And so they are racing against the clock to figure out how to survive. But you're also trying to figure out what the fuck happened.
Right.
And what is true. So you're very gripped. It's like a thriller. Station 11 is not like that. You know what happened. You know what happened. A plague wiped out 99% of the human race in a week.
That is just bonkers. I do think I got it from the library, for gosh sakes. It's just not on my 10 before the end, which is actually 30 before the end. So I'm like, Kristen, can you even budget this in right now? I'm like working my spreadsheets, you know.
Oh, man.
Okay, Maddie, thank you for sharing that.
Very happy. I think you should just gush about the unsolicited journals.
Well, I was going to save that, but I can talk about it now because, yes, it would be a good little bounce back, if you will. The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon. Yes, and this is by Beth Brower. These are, well, they start very small, but there's 8 books currently in this series that follow Emma's life. And think about these as like Industrial Revolution England. And Emma is a young girl coming of age. I believe she's like 18 in book 1, and both of her parents have passed, and they left her a dowry, or not really a dowry, but like an inheritance, something to live on. And then she is meant to have also like a little allowance. And it turns out that the people who were in charge of taking care of her money and giving her an allowance are not taking care of her money and are in fact not giving her an allowance. They are horrific people, but they are funny. So the whole story, I believe, is just a crazy comedy about this young girl's life. And she has her own sense of humor, which had me laughing to no end. The characters that you get introduced into her life are just so unique, and they have their own relationship building with her, and they're just like, why is she the way she is? And I just love people like that in real life. So this book to me is the highest level of enjoyment my whole month.
Wow.
I cannot even tell you how much I did not want to read these books because I thought they were Regency, and I'm already reading Bridgerton, and I was like, I honestly do not need another Regency romance. Thank you very much. But it's not Regency, first off. And even though me being who I am shipping Emma with like 5 people currently in this book series.
Amazing.
I'm almost done with book 3, but I'm shipping her with people. But really, like, it's not even about that. It's about how she interacts with people and how they interact with her in this kind of tight community. Her uncle is atrocious, but like not atrocious in a like he's going to give you trauma. Just like you're like, how does this person exist? And
yeah, I feel like there's
laugh.
always a character like that, even in like Jane Austen's novels. Like there's always just like an obnoxious, hateable character.
Yes. If you like Jane Austen's types of humor, which is just like witty and like you'll say something that you know is like gonna get the other one like gotcha, but they don't even get it because they're just like so self-absorbed and it just goes right over their head. But like as the reader and as like the person who it just shot them with this like witty humor, you get it. So like you're just laughing your face off.
Love it.
I just think that this is peak entertainment in books for me. I'm really excited to finish it and give you guys kind of like what I want to do with Bridgerton, but kind of just let you know what it's like as like a historic fiction. So I would say if you like romance so far in the series, you will like it because there's enough of like a wink wink, like this could turn into something. If you like comedy in your books, you will love this. If you like historic fiction, because so much of it about her clothes and how to be resourceful as a woman who is trying to like make everybody think that things aren't as bad as they are, but she's having to like make money by renting out parts of her home and she's trying to be like frugal. I love an industrious woman. So it's really fun for those reasons too. It reminds me when we were little, Maddie. Remember when we used to play games where it was like things were dire, but we would like make it better, right? Like it's the boxcar children and we've got to make this boxcar into a home. Okay, like I love that. The Little Princess when she's stuck up in the attic, but she makes it as cute as she can. Like it's giving that. So it's very like almost nostalgic to me.
You read 3 of these?
Yes, I'm almost done with the 3rd one. And they are getting longer and longer. They start being more like novel sizes and less of like 150 pages.
And
So
you rated
I'm really
all
into
of
it.
these highly.
Yes, I think right now where it stands, I have book 1 at 5 stars.
Wow, girl.
When I tell you my enjoyment, I was like, what is wrong with this book? There's nothing wrong with it. In its category, it is a slay. Volume 2, I have at 4.75. I don't even know why it's less.
Holy cow.
Like it's so weird to me. In its category, it is just peak. Guys,
right.
the cackling,
All right.
the kicking.
As it should be.
It's all I want to be reading, to be honest. Whenever I'm reading something or listening to something I'm not really into, I'm like, I could be reading Emma M. Lyon right now, which would be way better. It's also all on Kindle Unlimited.
Amazing.
So you can just binge the heck out of it. All right, Maddie, what do you have next, baby?
My highest personal enjoyment, it's hard to say, but my biggest like fun surprise of this month was Gideon the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir.
Yeah.
And when I tell you personal enjoyment off the charts. Off the charts. I had such a good time. I was so skeptical going in because I have heard so much about this series and people love it or people hate it and people are like it's confusing for confusing's sake and nothing is explained for no reason at all and the characters are crazy and literally the pitch I had heard so many times I could have beat my head through a wall with it was like it's lesbian necromancers in space, you'll love it. I was like, what the fuck? That's not a premise.
What does it mean?
What does that even mean? Like, are you telling me it's romantic and there's 2 really great girls that get together? Are you telling me that like they've cheated death and they can, you know, bring back their loved ones? Like, what is the hook? Like, lesbian necromancers in space is not a hook for me. I'm so sorry.
I feel
it's
like
just
you've not said any of that to me while talking about the book.
Also,
so.
book 1 doesn't take place in space. So I'm like, what are you talking about? Anyways, I digress.
Any hoobadoo.
Anyway, I had the best time. So Gideon the Ninth is actually essentially kind of a Deadly Trials type plot. And Gideon is this indentured servant to the royal family in her house. It's basically court politics. So there's 9 major houses. And I think the houses each have like their own planet, basically, or at least their own system or something. So she's from the 9th house. She's an indentured servant. And the princess, or they call them something else, Reverend something or other. But
it's a princess.
The royal woman, yes, is being called up by the emperor along with representatives from all of the other houses. The royalty from all the houses are being called up to this location, and everyone kind of knows, oh, they're going through like a rite, like a promotion process where you could become one of the emperor's people if you do whatever it is you're going to have to do when you get there. It's all very mysterious, but you have to bring your like cavalier, which is like your second. And so Harrow, the royal of the 9th house, brings Gideon with her as her second. And Gideon hates Harrow. Harrow hates Gideon. They have hated each other their whole lives for good reason. It's not just like this, like,
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
no. For good reason, they fucking hate each other. And
Okay.
Gideon has been trying her whole life just to escape. Like she would rather join military. She would do anything. She just wants to get out of the ninth. And instead, she's offered her freedom if she'll do this last thing. And so she goes with Harrow to this mysterious house, a la, not really quite Piranesi, but it's just like this mysterious, crazy house that all of the representatives from the houses have come to with their cavaliers. And so you're meeting the cast of characters, you're meeting like all the other royal families. They're all trying to
win the house, beat the house.
basically
like what is
beat the house. Yeah, basically they have to both figure out what they're supposed to do and then do it. So they're not really given explicit rules about what they're supposed to do to win, but they just kind of have to, yes, essentially beat the house.
plot wise? Did that keep it going really quick because you're not trying to like?
Yes, plot wise it worked really well, but also just character wise, it's the characters are funny and interesting and different, and it's fun to learn about the different houses because all the different houses have a different magic they can do, essentially. I mean, it's not fantasy, it's sci-fi, but you know, the ninth house are necromancers. They can activate, I guess like dead things,
Like make a dead flower alive.
Harrow can raise bones from the ground and animate them and basically like create skeleton armies. Harrow can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean. All right.
Yeah.
I kinda love
So she can do that. But there's people in different houses who can manipulate different things, and they can animate different things or orchestrate other powers. So it was just such a fun time. It was so fun. It was very interesting characters just because Gideon and Harrow's banter is great. The way they hate each other but are also so smart is so cool. They're both very competent characters. And the way they develop bonds and interests with other characters is interesting. And ultimately, like, the reveals are very crazy. Like, and fun. Like the reveal, I didn't see the reveals coming at the end,
What?
so that's cool.
Are you going to continue with the series like ASAP?
100%. It may disrupt my entire 10 before the end agenda.
Did you think about picking it up before finishing anything else as soon as you set down book one? Like, how much of a cliffhanger are we talking?
I just had to finish my last wheel book, which was Nevernight, and then I was like, I'm immediately reading Harrow. I already have the audiobook locked and loaded.
Then you're like, it's going down.
It's going down for real. Like, it's going down this week.
Oh my gosh, Maddie, this makes me so excited because you were like so bummed out about it, but you had found 3 hardcover books at Half Price Books, and I was like, I feel like it's meant to be. Like, it's like a powerful thing. Okay, so I'm
so happy.
adding that to my 2026.
I think you will like it. It's
TBR.
just such a fun time, and if you go in not like, I think you have to recognize that it's meant to be fun and original and unpredictable. And
all things that I love.
Don't take it so seriously. I think the people who are like, it's so confusing, I think it's because they're taking it a little bit too seriously. But I did overall only rate it 4 stars. I don't think it's like a perfect book, but it was just personal enjoyment was just like off the fucking charts.
Here's the deal. When you look at the categories of what we're rating things on, characters, setting, themes, plot, emotional enjoyment, personal enjoyment, emotional impact.
Yeah.
I feel like what matters to me so strongly is my personal enjoyment and my emotional. So for Maddie, it's like, okay, if it's a 4-star for her, but if she rated those 2 categories 5 stars, I'm going to freaking love the book.
Yeah.
Like, for sure.
Where Kristen can be like, it was a 3-star book, but the themes were a 5-star. I'm like, that'll be a 5-star book for me.
I can't wait to talk about your favorite book of the month that was just so low in those 2 categories for me. But let's talk about confusing. My wheel gave me This Is How You Lose the Time War, which is one of Maddie's favorite books of the year. This is also a very short snack. I had some really short books this month. And this is co-written by
Max Gladstone and Amal El-Mohtar. And it is in my top 10 books of all time.
It is absolutely so weird in the beginning. And I even knew what I was getting myself into. The amount of times I've heard Maddie on Patreon talk about this book at nauseum. Like, she loves it. And so I was like, oh, I just can't wait. I bought this book and added it to my wheel. Like, I was like breaking rules. I was cutting down boundaries for this book.
It's so sweet how much you trust me. Maybe you shouldn't.
Yeah, I'm going to be rethinking some of my trust with you, Maddie, because I started book 1, 70 pages in. I text Maddie and I was like, do I DNF this bitch right now?
No, she said, I don't wish to offend, but I fear I am not having a good time. Smiley face.
It's because I'm reading Emma M. Lyon that I'm talking in this like redonkulous way.
You were trying to be so gentle with
me. Not to disappoint or make you mad. But here's the deal. I was thinking this is going to be a very intellectual book. Maddie had told me like the premise is a little funkadilly. This whole book takes place through letters, okay? And you're going through the braid of time. And it's two people from, again, opposite sides, so I should love this, writing each other letters. And they're like, low-key want to like kill each other, but like they're creating a relationship, like a friendship through letters that they're leaving for each other through the braid of time. And they're going down the braid of time because they don't want the reality where their person is not top dog to not exist. They want to cut off the braid that makes it so that the other people exist, basically.
Yes, the timeline was a braid that went to one outcome until it split. And on one, there's one future outcome where the blue agent, her regime reigns. And there is an alternate reality where the red agent, her regime reigns. And so they can't not, it's like they can't both survive.
And exist.
And so as agents of these opposing futures, they go back in time at different points to try to manipulate the timeline to make sure that their strand is what comes to pass.
So yeah, that's already a little weird. I actually think of it not as a braid, but I think of it as like a uterus with like ovaries, kind of. Like I like to like the two ovaries, and you come down, you know.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's actually how I was seeing it in my brain. Okay, so I get into this. I'm like, I know it's gonna be weird, but I know what I'm getting myself into. Let's go. Did not help at all, because here's the deal. In the beginning, so I'm telling you this now, and this is not the only book this month I need to tell you this for. Just hold on and don't worry about all the little details, because the whole first 70 pages were just the craziest details about different places in the braid that they were going where they'd find the letters, but they would go into crazy unique detail for pages about what that world was like and kind of what happened there. But you will never visit that world ever again, never. So none of that matters. All that matters is get the banter between the letters. Okay. So as soon as Maddie told me that, Maddie said, just be in it for the letters. And I said, I'm getting real bogged down by all of this extra shit. I was just like, what is this? I wanted to DNF so bad. I'm like texting Maddie. I'm just like scrolling on my phone trying to avoid it. And I was just like, oh my God. So I stayed up. I was like, I'm finishing this, because if I don't finish it in one setting, I'm never going to read this book ever again. But I finished it and I said, oh, okay, that came together really well. I really wish the first half of the book was not written the way it was written. However, Maddie is correct. The plane landed. Did the landing send me into euphoria? No. But it was well done. It was well done.
It's profound.
And originality was off the charts.
Yes.
Okay, and I felt some sort of a way. The twist at the end, I said, oh, whoa, that's fun. So like I loved it, but because of the first half, I could not give this a 5 stars in good integrity. It got a 4.25 from me, which is not a low rating.
Not at all. I'm happy, given how bleak.
First half, 1 star enjoyment. Back half, I had 5-star enjoyment. As soon as like you started realizing what was going to happen and that they were going to have to get creative in this crazy world, it started getting fun.
I also feel like, if I remember correctly, the very end where the plane lands, I think there's a moment where they jump back down the braid, and it actually kind of makes you feel like that first section that's so confusing, where they're just hopping from place to place to place and time to time. Yeah, it like kind of ends up feeling earned because they use it to kind of land the plane.
Yeah, but it's almost like they like threw a bunch of Easter eggs out into the yard, and they're like, one of these will be fun later. And I was like, there's a dozen fucking eggs in this yard. Like, what do you mean? What color? Which color do I need to pay attention to?
I think that people who enjoy Shakespeare or who enjoy poetry or who like kind of that more ambiguous flowery language for language's sake.
Purple prose.
Very purpley. Yeah, I think if you like that, then the first 70 pages are going to feel like a literal feast to you because they do for me. But yeah, if you're more of a like, I really like sparse, direct, tell me what I need to know type writing, yeah, this one is not going to be for you, babe.
Also, if you don't like, if you like Dr. Seuss books, like I feel like it was just like this weird. I know it's like supposed to be poetry, but I was just like, get to the goddamn point.
It's
like
artistry.
Anywho, it was not my favorite.
4.25, I'll take it.
The Lost Queen by Signe Pike is book 1 in a trilogy as of now, but I believe there's more books coming.
Sure are.
And this is like the fun that I miss from Outlander, okay? Because I love like a historic fiction that's in a setting where it's just like gritty and atmospheric and castles, and it's like people being married off, and then there's wars. Like it's so good. If you like The Last Kingdom, it is those vibes. But Signe Pike did something so bizarro because she gave you twins where one of them is supposed to like be like the Merlin of old. Like we have old written text that this man that they consider like the Merlin. Don't think Disney Merlin because like they really took some liberties there. Okay. But like where that story came from is the boy twin, but you don't really hear in history about the female twin. And so she takes book 1 to take you on this amazing adventure of her life. And there is so much like soul-filling romance that is just, it spans decades. It's so good. And
it's
then
very
you have
juicy,
like,
isn't it?
oh yes, but it's like just crumbs, and I'm like, oh,
it is crumbs. Yeah.
It is crumbs, but it's like the most delicious crumbs you've ever had in your life.
Just don't go in expecting.
Just know it's there. But outside of it is just this historic fiction where you care so much. The stakes are so high. Absolutely terrified throughout, because at this point in history, also religion is having a huge shift from like the pagan religion into Christianity, and what it looks like when the people who had clout back in the day, the clout is basically changing hands. And so people who were in power are now giving it to other people who no longer respect you and respect your beliefs, and you're trying to like get with the times, but you have like history of like generations and generations. If you like The Gale Song by Shauna Lawless, which is another amazing historic fiction magical story, I just think this is one of the best out there. I cannot wait to read the next couple books, which I believe Maddie said focuses on other characters who you also love. I just was terrified. I was so worried for so many characters because you just know that they're probably going to die often, and it is terrifying. But I couldn't read it fast enough.
Yeah, that book 1 pacing is phenomenal.
Oh,
it's really difficult to. I mean, we are trying to comp it. I think Outlander is probably a better comp than The Gale Song, but I know why you did that. It's just, it is definitely more historic fiction with a bit of magical realism in there. It's
very
not,
minimal.
It's not high fantasy. You're not going to have like dragons. There's not like
magic wielders.
No,
that's not happening.
No.
It's kind of like the old magic of their people.
It's more like ancestral or like
it's like pagan religion.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of spiritual type of magic is maybe at play a little bit in the Fates, but like Kristen said, you know, Merlin in Disney is kind of like a wizard casting spells, whereas I think the Arthurian legend is more that Merlin was kind of this kooky wise one who maybe had alternate methods,
almost like a very strong intuition and a little knowing. Yes, very mystical.
And you don't even, at least in The Lost Queen, this all predates Arthur, so you're kind of getting the backstory to the context of what Merlin was raised in, and that yes, Merlin had this twin sister. And in the books, they don't even use the word Merlin. In the books, it's Lailakin is the brother and Langorith is the sister.
Oh my gosh, you guys, the audiobook, it is straight vibes.
It's so good.
What a party. And I rated it 4.5.
Yeah.
Personal enjoyment and emotional were both 5. Like, absolutely loved. Everything else was really good too. I just like, I didn't feel like, I don't know. I'm trying to not be overly generous with my 5 stars this year. I'm trying to be really, really critical. I think I put my emotional enjoyment, and my personal enjoyment and my emotional at 4. Basically everything was 5 except for themes, emotional, and enjoyment. I put at 4. I was just like, I just want to make sure. Just absolutely awesome. I'll let you guys know how I like the rest. That's something I'm trying to finish before the end of the year.
Boom.
So we'll see how I get on with that. Good
Okay.
times.
I think we should talk about the Dandelion Dynasty.
Oh, you loved that.
I am still loving it.
Yeah.
This is by Kin Liu. And I think I'm getting more and more clarity about how I want to talk about this series and how I want to pitch it to people so that you'll know really whether it's for you or not. So I read The Grace of Kings last month. I read The Wall of Storms. That's book 2 this month. And I'm now halfway through The Veiled Throne, which is book 3. What I'll say about the writing style and the way that this epic unfolds is it's very similar to me to Greek epics. Like, we're talking like Homer. Yeah. It's kind of like the Iliad or the Odyssey in that the magic of the world is all about the gods. Okay. And the gods are these fickle bastards who just kind of like decide when they're going to dip in and dip out and
very Greek
impact
mythology.
things. And they're like rivals with each other. And sometimes they're just trying to like fuck with each other. And sometimes, they're like, I want to go experience what it's like to be human. And so they like leave godhood and decide to walk among the mortals. And you as the reader know who the god is, but the mortals don't know that they're literally engaging with a god. So there's some of that. And then some of the ways that magic then impacts the world is very Homer-ish, like great beasts of the deep will occasionally help mankind, and you're like, okay,
all right.
But none of the humans themselves are magic wielders. Like
none of them.
No. The part of it that's fantastical is the gods' influence, and then of course the world itself is a made up world. It feels like our world, and it's instead of being like Greek or Roman inspired, it's Asian inspired. So it's a silk punk, which and so the royal dynasty kind of follows the ideas that would have come out of like ancient China. So it's very original. It's epic, not like a Brandon Sanderson book is epic, but it's epic like these old kind of epics. Like the Trojan War, like the Odyssey. And so it's telling the story of a place where they're ruled by dynasties, and you in book 1 you see the Dandelion dynasty come to power. And then in The Wall of Storms, it's kind of about how that dynasty is treating the succession, like who's going to take the throne next, and then there's a conquering force that are basically trying to fuck everything up. So It's about getting power, holding on to power, who deserves to have power, how do you rule once you have it. It's always precarious. Who do you pass your kingdom down to? Do those kids even want the power? What will they do with it when they get it? It's all a lot of like messy, complicated family dynamics and politics, which is my favorite thing to read.
That's like your bag forever and always, will never change.
Yes. But I will say they are thick books, and I don't think you can read them like 30 pages at a time. I'm just being honest.
Truly.
To enjoy them. I think they're like, you sit down, you do 200 pages. And then maybe you can take a couple days break, and then you do another 200 pages. Like you really have to kind of sink into them, because they're not these fast-paced, action-packed books. They're an epic. They have broad scope, and they span a lot of time. And it's not about these like emotional character inner monologues. It's about these maneuverings where you can infer what the different characters are thinking and feeling, but it's broad. It's very broad. So I'm
Who do you think it's good for?
Loving it. Well, I just said, I think it's for people who really want to sink into something deep and rich with a lot of lore. I think it's for people who can really sit and focus on one story at a time and really absorb it. I think if you really like the old epics, you would love this. If you really like court politics and intrigue and those messy family dynamics when people get into power, ruthless, brutal, just craziness. There are some characters that you will really, really, really hate. I would say, it's just a very, very, very different writing style to somebody like a Robin Hobb or even like a Brandon Sanderson. Like, obviously, like if you've read Brandon Sanderson and Robin Hobb, they are very different. Well, Kin Liu is very different than both of them. It's just different. It's just they're
their own thing.
It's its own thing. And so you kind of have to really decide if the writing style is for you. And I think the way that you do that is by kind of committing to it and focusing on it and doing a lot of it at once if you can. So I'm loving it, loving it, loving it. But no, it's not a popcorn fantasy. It's not like a jump in for a good time.
But personal enjoyment is higher than the Wheel of Time.
Oh my God. It's everything to me.
I'm trying to think of other big series that people have heard. So you said how it is compared to Realm of the Elderlings. Even like I'm thinking like Shadow of the Gods, which is obviously, it's only 3 books, but they're thicker books. Like, do you feel like it stands on its own? Like it's very different in its uniqueness.
Oh, yeah.
You've never read anything like it?
No. And I think it could be a little bit of recency bias, and I haven't finished it yet, but I am predicting it is going to be among my top 5 series.
Oh my gosh. Wow, you guys heard it here first, folks.
It is very good.
I'm so happy for you. So remind me again, how many more books do you have?
Like 1.5. I'm like halfway through book 3, and there's 4 books.
Oh my gosh, is 4 even long enough for you anymore?
I don't know. I'm nervous.
That feels a little too short.
I know, right?
Does Kin Liu have more?
He has just written a sci-fi book that I received as a gift. So I'm going to finish Dandelion Dynasty first, but I am very excited to pick up something totally different from him.
I love when we find a new author that just hits so hard for you.
Yes. I rated The Veiled Throne 4.75.
And that's one you read this month?
Yes. Well, I'm currently reading The Veiled Throne. That's book 3.
Okay. Wait.
But I finished Wall of Storms, and that one I rated it 4.75.
Dang, Maddie. That's crazy for you. You're crazy for that.
Crazy.
Wow. We've read a lot of books, but I really want to talk to you guys about Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaghy. This is a standalone book that is very, the setting, I feel like, is like its own character.
Agreed.
So the setting is freezing. It's right next to the ocean. There's a lighthouse and it's just dark. There's not a lot of sun and it's so freezing that you would die if you were not like taking care, right? And there's a family, a husband, no mother at the time, and children. And their job is to take care of seeds because the world has gone to shite and we need to keep things really cold to preserve them for when humanity may need them. And yeah, I feel bad. It would not be my dream locale. Okay. I am like, it's a little too secluded for me. But the dad is just protective of his kids and they're kind of like being homeschooled. We can get down with that. They're kind of like,
sure. Yeah.
They have big imaginations and it's just kind of a funkadilly setting. But everything gets wild when a female body washes up on shore.
Boom.
So it's one of those books that you read to figure out what is going on here. Yes. Constantly through the book, there's times where you're like, I'm sorry, what? Like they say something that you're like, huh? So there's a lot of like unspoken like wink winks happening between characters that makes you be like, just tell me what happened. And then at the end, when you find out what happened, it's shocking and that's kind of fun. It was almost giving like, I don't know if this is a good comp, but like Stephen King or The Abyss or something.
I was thinking it's giving
thrillery.
Yeah, it was giving like some Shutter Island vibes, but it's a very different, like it goes a very different way. It's not really like
but the same kind of like something happened here.
Yeah.
And we're just not quite sure.
You said it perfectly. Like the setting is its own character because the setting is what feels so foreboding and secretive.
Because honestly, I hate being cold, like more than anything. So honestly, it just feels like hell on earth. But Also, there's a scene at the end, which I was not anticipating the entire book, and it brought me to tears.
Ooh, emotional impact.
Not like blubbering tears, but like life is beautiful. Like one of those moments where you're just like, everything is as it should be, and the right people are always there when you need them, and good people are in the world. So also like kind of a hopeful message. When the book ended, I left just like wanting to clap Charlotte. Well done. I really want to read more of her works now, which I guess we're getting a lot of recs these days because people saw how we loved that
Everyone
book.
says they love Migrations.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It takes a particular skill to write a standalone that's not even that long and somehow get you emotional, but also make you turn pages and stick with you. Like I will never forget this book.
Right.
It is very iconic and individual in my mind. So I think I rated Wild Dark Shore at, oh my gosh, 4.75.
Yeah, Queen.
This one is going to be wackadoodle different than any single book that we ever talk about on this channel. And that is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Mr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza. This is a book I picked up 4 months ago while my wheel was happening because I was kind of craving something that would help me prompt journaling, something that would give me some inspiration in my personal inner life. And it did that. I got it from a book rec video. I'm trying to remember what her name is. I can't even remember, but she's changed my life now. This book has been completely transformative for me internally, which is also changing my external world. So Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself is Dr. Joe Dispenza basically talking to you about how our minds get very set in a routine or in a way of being, and that is not something that has to stay that way, that your brain can be changed, and that it takes effort and it takes intention, but that it is possible. So for someone like myself that is in a season where I want to change things, it's so encouraging to hear someone say, here are some steps, here are some new ways to mix it up in your life so that you can have a different future. So I love my life, but when there's something that just feels like it's just always there and you don't want it, but it just seems to follow you through life. At some point, for me, it's at age 34, I'm like, maybe I should just take some time and do the work to get this thing out of here. Like I'm done with that. I'm done with those old beliefs. I'm done with that old story. So what an empowering book. By the end of the book, there are some really awesome tools to help with meditation practice. And I have been meditating for over a decade now, and I feel like I do it well. I enjoy it and it's beneficial to me, but he really breaks it down in a very analytical way for people who maybe don't want to hear explained in a woo-woo way, but just these are the benefits. This is what is happening in your brain when you do these things. And this is how it benefits your whole physiology, like everything in your body. And so what a powerful book. I can't believe one book could do so much for me. And it's taken me 4 months because every time I open it after 3 pages, I've highlighted half the freaking book and I'm just journaling and processing through. And if I could give you one book rec, like here's a book that completely changed my life, it has now switched to this book. It's really ugly and I had a lot of resistance into it, but I'm so glad I picked it up. It is an Infinity Star book. It's self-help and personal development, a little bit spirituality, less or so. So it's kind of hard to rate it on Maddie's rating scale. But to me, it is a perfect book because what it gives is the best of the best stuff. It's so good.
Wow.
I hope I did it justice. Don't read it if you don't want to. But if you line up with anything I just said, it might just be perfect for you too. Yeah.
I haven't even read the book, but I do Joe Dispenza meditations every day.
Well, you're getting it for Christmas, so you have no option but to read said book.
Amazing.
You get a book. You get a book. You get a book.
Wow.
So that was my best book of the month. But the book that me and Maddie are going to talk about was our Patreon book club pick this month.
Yes, our book and screen. We have not yet seen the movie. I think we're going to see it in LA this week.
Yep.
But this is Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell.
And Hamnet is a story fictional story about Shakespeare's family, but they never say Shakespeare. It's just like known that it's about William's family. And it actually has way more of a POV with his wife, who is named Agnes in this story.
Right. Historically, her name is Anne Hathaway, but apparently her father left some things to her in his will, and in his will he calls her Agnes. So Maggie O'Farrell, who's a history buff, when she was doing her research for the book, she's like, oh, I think I'm just going to call her Agnes then instead of Anne in the book.
Yeah, and I really, really loved Maggie's writing. She knows her stuff, and I've listened to some podcasts by her. This is all the stuff we go into in our deep dives on Patreon. So like when we read a book, we talk for an hour.
Yeah, every week, yeah.
Deep diving the section that we read, and then we literally go down the rabbit hole of like what plague was happening at that time, which plays were written before and after what happens in the book.
Right.
So it's so fun. All of that stuff was absolutely peak. But this is actually kind of an emotional story.
Oh, very, very. I definitely shed more tears reading this book, I think, than anything since The Sword of Kaigan.
Yeah, it was giving Sword of Kaigan tears.
Yes.
Like the uncontrollable.
Yeah. Yes. So I think this is where Kristen and I divulge in our rating, because I think I gave it a 5-star across the board. I thought the characters were 5-star, and that's because more than Agnes and William are fleshed out. I felt like every character was given agency and an arc and ambiguity and nuance. So I appreciated that. I thought she had very balanced writing style where every character was worthy of her time and attention and craft. I thought the plot was amazing, or I thought the setting was amazing, which Kristen agrees with me. Yeah. We just like love this old London, and she was clearly so well researched.
Yeah, it felt like a lot of the movies that we watched growing up, our parents love BBC, and we watched so many like old historic stories. And so she writes it in a way that you do feel like the setting is like, she leaves nothing to question. You know exactly what their home looks like, or what the farm looks like, and what the clothing is like, and the
what
food
everyone
tastes like.
Does every day.
She's an amazing, amazing writer.
Yeah. So I think we both just like really loved the setting. Plot wise, I thought the plot was so interestingly paced and crafted. And so I gave it a lot of points for intention, because if you want to tell a historic fiction about Shakespeare and this pivotal moment in his life, right before he writes the tragedy Hamlet, you could have approached that so many different ways. And I think the fact that she chose to tell it primarily from his wife's point of view, and I think that the fact that she chose in the timeline to go back to when Agnes and William meet and craft their whole love story, and then basically fill out this whole present moment that's really only a day or two, and really zoom into that day or two, and then to kind of give this very long, she calls it an epigraph. It's like a longer epilogue where she just really zooms into the fallout between this moment in time and the writing of Hamlet. It was just very intentionally done, and it was unique. Like, I don't know that anyone who is pitching this idea would have necessarily decided to do it this way, but because Maggie O'Farrell decided to do it that way, the plot just unfolded in this way that felt true and real, and like she had focused on the important parts so that you understood the context of what happens, and you feel so much, and it appropriately, in my opinion, captured the complexity of what happens, even though it's just a story of a family where something horrible happens, but it could be anybody. Like they're not rare, but she gave poignancy to all of the beats that lead to what happens, and all the way to the finale of Hamlet coming into the world as this huge, successful show. So it was just, I don't know. I felt like, even though I went into the book kind of knowing what happens, and I know the historical context of this story, I felt very gripped and very invested all the way through. And I think that was a testament to the way she plotted it. So I gave it 5 stars on all of those kind of technical aspects of story. I was just like, wow, she really nailed it on all fronts.
Yeah, she nailed what she did. I agree with that. I gave the characters 5 stars. I gave setting 5 stars. I gave the plot 3 stars, and I'm looking at that now and I'm thinking, okay, 3 is not bad. Just I don't really like how the book ended. It felt abrupt to me. And I thought in the beginning it was more of this like beautiful trot, and then it just got a little bit like, I don't know. The plot got weird for me middle to end. Themes are 5 stars. She really does talk about real life and explores some things that I feel like we can all relate to, but we kind of shy away from because it can be really complex and messy and uncomfortable. But she really went there. So her themes, 5 stars. My emotional impact and my enjoyment were both 3 stars. So that's what brought it down to a 4. It was not a horrible rating, but I gave it 4 because, and this is just for anybody out there who is sensitive, is I felt incredibly depressed and sad. 2/3, the back 2/3 of the book. And I left the book not feeling any sort of a like upper from that or hopefulness that I think some people did feel like, what a beautiful ending. It felt rushed and I still felt heavily depressed. And so I don't really enjoy very, very sad books. And I know some people do, or they can like see the beauty in it and maybe they're not their favorite, but they can just like handle it. And I really felt like I couldn't. And emotionally, even when I cried, I felt, and this is just my opinion, I felt a little bit manipulated and it felt kind of like yucky to me instead of feeling beautiful, like in Sword of Kaigan when I cried. I think it's just because there was never that bounce back, you know, when the ball bounces down. Like I was like waiting for it to go up and I was like, I know that I can handle this. It'll be fine. And like the ball was just laying on the floor and I was like, okay. I hate this feeling. This feels horrible. So if you want to check your trigger warnings before reading it, I think that literally if you read the jacket, like you will know kind of what you're in for. But there was even a couple extra little jabs there at the end that just made me go, ooh, no. Basically anything that has to do with children, loss or abuse, and death, like all of those things, just be aware. Also, I have kids that are similar ages to the kids in Hamnet, which made it feel just a little bit just like not healthy for me at this time, which the author herself did not write the book while her kids were the ages of Shakespeare's children for that reason. So I probably should not have read it at this time.
Boom.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like one of the best books of all time. I just like didn't enjoy it very much.
That's so funny.
Like, I just think that that's just me being honest. Like, I agree. It is fantastic. It is basically perfect. I personally just didn't enjoy it. I am nervous to see the movie, but I'm also very excited because sometimes Hollywood goes off script. So I'm hoping that they go off script just at the end for Kristen.
Maybe they will. Yeah, maybe. I'm very interested to see how they do the film. I think it's an actor and a director's dream.
Yes.
I would have been intimidated myself to adapt it for the screen, but yeah. I'm wondering if Maggie O'Farrell was involved in the screenwriting process.
Maddie, a great question.
Could you just look up who the screenwriter is? Because I think I would be very intimidated to try to adapt the script. But I think for the actors, this is probably one of the peak experiences of their lives. Like, what material to get your hands on?
She co-wrote the screenplay with I'm not saying this right, but Chloe Zhao.
Okay. Is that also the director? That's so interesting. Yeah,
Yes, she directed the film.
Okay, so I think that's going to make it amazing, honestly, because if the author helps to adapt it and then the screenwriter also directs, I just think that the vision is probably extremely clear.
Wonderful cast.
I think that the people that they cast for it feel very close to the material and passionate about it. And so I think it's very much a labor of love and there's probably a lot of integrity to the work. So I'm very excited to see it. But it is not light. I think I feel similar in reading it to books like Little Women or like The Sword of Kaigan, where I just think when you have characters who experience all of the highs and lows of life together, it's so bittersweet. And I found Hamnet to be bittersweet. I think Kristen didn't feel as much of the sweetness, but I think I felt, like I said, I think the context that Maggie gives for me when it came to emotional impact and personal enjoyment and themes, I felt like she had given us so much sweetness that, yes, the bitterness was so brutal, but it wouldn't have even felt brutal if it wasn't for how sweet she really fleshed out the rest of it. And I think because she introduced the idea of mental health playing into Shakespeare's artistry, I think that will just impact readers differently. I think that I tend to not be very traumatized or negatively affected by reading about mental health struggles in books. I think it's good to see that representation. It gives me insight and empathy into other people, and so it doesn't bother me as much. But I do think there are readers, like Kristen said, who should absolutely go in aware that mental health struggle is a huge part of this book, and it does impact characters' decisions, and I think that they do hurt and harm each other because of their mental health struggles. And I think that if that is really hard for you to read, or that just brings down your mood or your vibe, maybe skip this one. I'm trying to I don't want to undersell it for what I love, because I think it's so phenomenal, but I also think there are plenty of phenomenal books in the world. And so if this one is not for you, that's okay. You can skip this one and find another phenomenal book that's 100% for you.
This is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. It is also a short snack. And this is one of those books that I read in a day. But unlike This Is How You Lose the Time War, it was really good for me from beginning to end. And this is a book that is all about the setting, which is, in fact, like a character. I'm finding we really like these books. Yes. When the when the setting is as interesting and as complex as the characters you're going to get to know in the book, that really enhances my enjoyment. But in Piranesi, you're following that character, Piranesi, as he is going through a house of sorts. But the house is almost like a world in itself. Yeah. So in the beginning, when they're describing the world, just be willing to stretch your imagination. That's one of the things that this book has in spades, is an ability to make you kind of think like you did when you were a kid and you were making up your own worlds, that you're like, oh yeah, this totally checks out. You have to be creative and just let the narrative go away with you. You just have to kind of float away with it. So what I thought was so transcendent about this book was, even though there's a plot, and even though there's a thriller element, and even though there's a twist, and even though you want to know why things are the way they are, what you actually are the most fascinated about is the mental perspective of your main character. Right. And his way of perceiving the world that he's in, the house world, and the way he interacts with it, and how he emotionally deals with what I would consider a not great situation. Right. But he is just like the buddy, the elf, but not in an annoying, cheesy way. But he just has a way of seeing beauty in the things that are not traditionally beautiful, or finding hope in places that other people would find hopeless. And there are so many lines in this book that I had to highlight because they felt like such really gold nuggets of life truth that I believe. And so I just think I jive with a book that adds all these entertaining and bizarre and interesting elements, but with this deep-seated truth, or what I want to believe is truth, in just this package of a 200-page book. Yep. What a package. I did cry. I did it wasn't the laughing oh my God, comedy. It was just dude, this guy is silly sauce. How is he not catching how horrible things are right now? And he's just well, it's upbeat for me. And so I felt absolutely entertained, but more importantly, I felt very touched by this work. I thought it was really, really good.
I'm so glad that you loved it.
Thank you for the recommendation.
And it was such a weird one.
It was so weird. And then our dad, he read it after my Patreon, when I cried on Patreon about it. Guys, I was really feeling this book. So every week we talk about the books that we're reading, and I was crying. I don't normally cry on Patreon, but I had to that day. Aww. And our dad read it. And then I went to Noodles and Company, and we had a little phone date where we just talked about and debriefed the book. And it was just so sweet. Too? Yes.
Oh.
He wanted more at the end. He said he was excited. He's I wish it was more at the end. And I'm like, yeah, but
it was good.
I feel like I just knew it was going to be great because it was Piranesi.
Yeah.
I was the rest of his life is going to be great.
Yeah.
So it was really peak reading, guys. So good.
My last book is The Strength of the Few by James Islington.
Oh my gosh. I didn't realize you still had another one. This is like my most anticipated read of the entire 2 years, the last 2 years.
Another one. I do not think you will be disappointed at all, sis.
Really?
Oh, I think you're gonna love it.
Oh, I'm ready.
I want to set appropriate expectations for everyone who did not pick up this book this month, but I think a lot of people did. But he has blown the lid off with this one. So I feel like the thing that I loved about The Will of the Many and makes it so easy to recommend to literally everyone is that it is very tightly paced. Something is happening in every chapter, and it's utilizing some tropes that you're familiar with. So like, you know what an academy is, and you know what an adoption is, and you know what a chosen one trope is, right? So you can kind of follow along, and it allows the magic system of will and the kind of bizarre, mysterious things that are happening to, you can absorb them a little easier because everything else, you know, fits into some kind of context that you already know.
Okay. So from book one, which you made a great YouTube video that like summarized all of book one, if you're like me and you like needed like a reset, you know, to remind you where things were happening. It's more of the same, or did he just completely turn it on its head?
Oh no. It's I would say it's a pretty big departure, and so I think that's what's going to make it either work or not work for people.
Okay.
But so book one is a first person point of view. You're in the main character's head the whole time. Mm-hmm. In book two, we moved to a multi-POV story where you have 3 points of view in 3 settings.
We were ready for it.
I feel like he foreshadowed so well in book one that no one should be surprised in book two. That is my personal opinion. But I think some people still were surprised, like, wait, that came out of nowhere. I'm like, it was definitely seeded. But okay.
Maddie.
I think that James Islington does amazing at foreshadowing. And I had just reread The Will of the Many right before I read Strength of the Few. So Strength of the Few turns into this multi-POV, multi-setting story. And I think if there's anything, I think I took 0.25 points off. I rated the whole book 4.75 stars. I think it's phenomenal. Dang. I love where it's going. But I took a little bit off because of that. In that multi-POV structure, we have lost a little bit of the strength of pacing that we had in book one.
That happens in multiple POVs.
It does.
It just does.
Yeah. And then there are some characters from book one that didn't get as much page time in book two. And part of that is because we've introduced new characters. I would say the cast doubles in book two.
Sure.
So you're getting to know new characters. And because we're in a multi-POV story, you're getting new characters in one world, you're getting new characters in another world. And so I don't know that you get to know them as well as you got to know characters in book one. And you're kind of missing those characters because they're not getting as much page time in book two. So those things are just kind of things I feel like are understandable and natural sacrifices we're making for the way that the scope has so expanded in book two.
Well, right. Because I feel like if we just got more of the same, people would complain about that.
Oh, totally.
Like, so you kind of have to like be like, well, which way do we really want him to go? We want him to create a super expansive world and a story that we can't get enough of, that's so big that he has time to have multiple books. Like, I don't know. I think that's why book two sometimes can really suffer, is because like there isn't enough fresh, and you want to set it aside from book one and let it stand on its own as its like iconic moment.
Right.
I'm so excited for it.
I also feel like we're getting a lot of payoff on promises from book one. Like there are things in book one that are so bizarre and you're like, okay, this better be leading somewhere, because by the end of the book, you're like still left with questions. I feel like a lot of those things were delivered on in book two, or at least you're getting enough more that even if you still have questions, you're like, okay, he's doing something with this. This wasn't just random. And I think thematically, I hope I'm right with where he's taking this, but thematically, he's setting up some pretty powerful things. So I think one of the main aspects of this series, once you get to the end of book one and you read the epilogue, there's this introduction to this idea that death is a doorway. And you're like, what does that mean? It's kind of just like left there as this weird nugget. And in book two, he's really exploring that. And I think it's such an interesting thing to play with in fantasy, this idea of immortality or reanimation or death being a doorway or stuff like that, where you have to start really asking yourself, where your line is and whether that's moral and whether or not it's like, of course, we don't want to lose characters we love. In life, we don't want to lose people we love, but the alternative where people don't get to rest is awful. And he's really playing with that here. I also think, I can't give any spoilers, but I believe he is playing with that theme of facing yourself and with the aspects and the shards of yourself not all being in unity, and that we all contain both the hero and the villain in us. And at times, there may be a time that every hero, more than standing up to their adversary, they must conquer themselves or the part of themselves that is dark. And I think he's setting that up in such a unique and fun way. And I hope that he delivers on it. He doesn't have to, but yes, it's one of my favorite themes. So
we would prefer that he lands.
Looking for it. Oh my gosh. I just had such a great time with it. It was one of my highest anticipated reads of the year. I had read all of Licanius trilogy earlier this year by James Islington. And so I was just so excited for more from this author. I think he is one of the most original authors working in the fantasy space right now. And I think that the sheer scope of his imagination, I'm like trying to find a comp or a parallel to him in fantasy right now. And I think if there's anything he needs to grow in as an author and that he is growing in and that we're getting to see in real time is just him figuring out how to weave these really intricate tapestries in a way that's digestible for people and fun all the way through. And I think he really nailed it with The Will of the Many, but it was his tightest scope ever. So I think whenever he tries to do all the cool things he's trying to do, I think he's learning that finesse of weaving it all together in a way that makes it really fun all the way through. And I think Brandon Sanderson is still trying to do the same thing, and he's been doing it for a lot more years and written a lot more books. But it's just like when you're trying to do these really wild things, sometimes I think, you have a slumpy book or you have a slumpy part, or there's these parts that that feel a little bit more like a chore, and people are like you're trying to do so much here, like, oh, it's kind of a chore trying to keep up with you. But I think he's doing an amazing job.
Oh, I'm so ready.
It's epic.
My wheel is done, so now my doors are wide open.
I love the audiobook too. I immersion read it, but I think his audiobook narrator is pretty solid. Like it adds to the experience for me.
Oh, that's what we want to hear. Well, gosh, what a month. I would say November was overall fantastic.
Agreed.
It was good reading. And even the reading that's not the best. Me and Maddie are finding appreciation in all things and just liking being readers. We just like being like we read. That's what we do. That's our hobby. That's our main hobby. If you guys pick up anything from our list today, please let us know how you get on with it. And hopefully you're like us and you are going to have the best time in December. Just milk it and enjoy trying something new. Enjoy filling your TBR for next year. We love the end and the beginning of things. Like Maddie and I buzz when we think about finishing goals, but also like the excitement that's going to come in January. And we'll have some episodes coming up for you guys about some of our intentions going into a new year, what things worked this year, what things we're going to shift.
Yep.
Maddie, is there anything else that you want to say to the people?
Just if you want to see anything, here at the end of the year, if there's any kind of year-end stuff you want to see, now's the time to make your requests because we're getting all these videos out for you this month. So if there's anything you want us to talk about and our goals for next year, any sort of insights you want us to reflect on, feel free to leave a request. We do always read all your comments and look at everything you guys want to see from us, and we definitely take that into consideration. So, and we just hope you guys have a great December. Like Kristen said, best reading ever.
We'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Yeah,